Thank you. Did you have anything you want to follow up on?
Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order. The minutes are approved. Do we have a second?
Hi, it's Jennifer Lee-Levitz. I am recording today for K-Band Live. We're at the Rose Baker Senior Center, and we're in part of a triad meeting. We'll talk about triad another day. We're in triad meeting, and we're having a conversation, actually a presentation, with two lovely ladies, Robin Putnam. I'm going to turn it around now. I can find the camera. There they are. Robin is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Office of Consumer Affairs, and the other person is Amy Schramm, and she is with the Better Business Bureau. All right, and they're presenting holiday scams. Let's see if we can get this right. I'm going to try. There we go. Anytime you're ready, ladies, we're ready for you.
And Lucy's out today. I'm sorry that I forgot to say that.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. As mentioned, I work for the Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulation. We are a state agency located in Boston. Part of my job is to get out into the communities to give these sort of educational presentations so that consumers in Massachusetts can make better educated decisions. We have 5 agencies that are underneath our office. We have the Division of Banks, Insurance, Professional Licensure, Telecommunications and Cable, and Standards. And we have a helpline that's run Monday through Friday from 9 to 4:30, 617-973-8787. We have specialists that will actually answer the phone. You will get a human being. They field between 300 and 500 calls every single week. You name it, we've heard about it. And we do encourage consumers to reach out to us if there's a problem, if you have a question about something, you don't understand your cable bill, you name it, please let us know. If you call us after hours and leave a message, we will call you back. I have to sort of preface this conversation by saying we will never call you out of the blue. I guess there is someone out there who is spoofing our office and randomly calling consumers. We don't have time to do that. We will call you if you leave us a message. We will listen to your questions and try to find answers, but we're not going to spend the day just randomly calling people, unfortunately. But Amy and I have been giving these presentations for the last 4.5 years. We give between 30 and 40 presentations all over Massachusetts. And it's fun to get outside and talk with the communities and see what's going on, as opposed to just sitting behind a desk all day long. And I'll have Amy introduce herself, and we've been collaborating for the Better Business Bureau, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Thank you. Hi there. I am the Community Relations Manager with the Better Business Bureau. I essentially spearhead our Free Speakers Bureau for the public. So in joining forces with Robin in her office for the last 4 years, it's been a pleasure because our service area is Eastern Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, and Rhode Island. So on any given day, I'm in any one of those four-state area delivering programs. So being in Massachusetts, it's nice because we get to tag team the effort and deliver these joint programs throughout the communities. And I would say that most of the programs that we deliver on the topic of scams and fraud and identity theft, holiday fraud prevention that we'll jump into today in particular, but it's such a relevant, necessary topic. Before jumping in, I do just want to mention, just for a bit, we will probably reference this handout quite a bit throughout the program, but in particular, I do want to point out our website, bbb.org, and our phone number. So our website, bbb.org, helps serve as a free precautionary resource tool for people. We want people to know that you can utilize the Better Business Bureau for what you've utilized us for the last 107 years that we've been established, and that is to contact us after you may have had an issue or a problem with a product or a service or a business. You can contact us and continue to file those complaints against businesses that you may have had an issue with, and we will help serve as that middleman for you between you and the representative from the business that's going to be handling the complaint on their end. But we want people to utilize our database as a precautionary resource tool. And we have over 5.5 million businesses on bbb.org. We have information on thousands of charity organizations on bbb.org. We have an entire charity portion of our website. You can also visit give.org to access that information. And then everything Rob and I are about to jump right into in regards to scams and fraud and identity theft and all of that fun stuff that's so necessary and relevant. But in particular, I want to point out our scam tracker that we have. It's incredibly relevant to what we're going to jump into. There's a direct link to our scam tracker. You can visit bbb.org and access the scam portion of our website and access the scam tracker in particular, or you can just type in this scam tracker, this link, and it will bring you directly to that particular page. And what our scam tracker does is help serve as, well, it serves a dual purpose really. It serves as somewhere for us to go and report what we have been experiencing, whether it's a phone call, an email, a text message, a letter, someone knocking door to door, whatever it might be. You do not have to have fallen victim to the scam itself in order to report it. We're in fact hoping that you never fall victim to the scam itself, but we're looking for as much information as possible, even if it's just a phone number that's popping up on your caller ID screen that you can leave information on. So it's somewhere for us to go to report what we're experiencing, and because it's somewhere to do that, it is also somewhere for us to go and stay up to date on what other people have been experiencing and reporting. And in the year 2019, so far, we have taken in over 34,000 scam reports. I just checked 2 days ago, and 2 days ago it said 34,577 scam reports came through our scam tracker. And I want to point out, as we will jump right into robocalls in particular, that every piece of information that we take in via our scam tracker, we share with the Federal Trade Commission. You can also report directly to them, and we do have their contact information on the handout, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, but know that every piece of information that we take in via our scam tracker, we share with them so that they can work with authorities and the Federal Communications Commission that I'll let Robin jump into in regards to the robocall issues that we are dealing with, that everybody is dealing with. We haven't met anybody in our 200 programs yet this year that have not been dealing with the phone ringing off of the hook. So, but before we jump in, actually, are there any questions related to either of our organization? And we'll make sure that we repeat the question for the camera as well, if you have any. Don't hesitate. Better Business Bureau questions or Office of Consumer Affairs.
I did want to say that I actually had a pleasant discussion with somebody with the Federal Trade Commission this week.
Oh, wonderful.
And what my concern was I was contacted over the internet by somebody that wanted to sell me a mailing list for people attending a conference in New York City. And it sounded a little hazy. It came from San Francisco. Can we give can we quote you a price on providing the attendance list to this conference? And I'd never heard of the conference, number one, so I didn't know. But I called the Federal Trade Commission, and I gave them all the information, gave me information on the phone numbers. They were very good about it. I just wanted you to know
That's
that
wonderful.
I was pleased because it doesn't always work that way.
Sure.
But that's a different kind of scam from what I can do.
It is, and actually,
Hi, it's Jennifer Lee-Levitz for KBAN Live. We're at the Rose Baker Senior Center in the Triad meeting with a talk on holiday scams with a speaker from the Better Business Bureau and from the State Department of Consumer Affairs.
Yeah, we usually just start off with
There she is.
robocalls because they're the most irritating and we all get them. It's just important to know you're not necessarily being targeted. It's usually a computer somewhere in the world churning out phone numbers, and you get the call today. You might get it tomorrow. I get it today. Amy gets it tomorrow. The Federal Communications Commission has a new program that they started rolling out. It's called Shake and Stir, and what it's doing basically is authenticating calls before they get to you. So the more times that we actually report all of those scammy calls to the FCC or the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, or the Federal Communications Commission, it goes into their computer system. So they start to recognize, okay, the number that was reported is scamming. Let's not let that get through to the next caller. It is working. I believe in the month of July and August, they did see a downtick in robocalls, which I think is kind of a nice thing to hear. But your best thing to do, honestly, is simply not pick up the phone. If you don't recognize that number 100% on your caller ID, don't pick it up. Because the thing is, our scammers, they know that we're curious, and they know if we see the IRS, my office, the local police department, the fire departments pop up on our screen. We get a little curious. Maybe I should pick it up. If you don't know the chief of police directly, why would the police department be calling you? There's really no reason. And I'm not knocking any police department or fire department. I'm just saying there's no reason for them to really be calling you. I just think if you can try not to answer the phone, because as soon as you answer the phone, the scammer is going to make money, because he or she now knows it's a live working number, and he will sell that phone number to somebody else to call you. And I know that there's a lot of people who love and think it'd be fun to scam the scammer, and they get the call, they answer the call, and then they give the scammer cuckoo answers to his or her questions. It's important to not do that. I did meet a senior who lived in the North Shore, and she thought it'd be kind of funny, so she kept the guy on the phone for half an hour. He got so upset that she was scamming him that he called her every hour on the hour for 3 days straight. So she got super paranoid, called the local police department. They came in and investigated. And you just don't want to do that. You don't know where these people are. Sometimes the scammers can be local, sometimes they're far, far away. But they do work in networks. And if you upset somebody, you just don't want them knocking on your door. Especially if they've called you on your home phone. You can do a reverse search and find out where you live. So it's just best to not answer the phone. And they know that we're curious. They know that if they ring once and then they hang up, we'll sit and fester for like an hour. Should I call them back? Maybe I should call them back. Maybe I should look up the number. Don't look up the number. Don't call them back. Simply let it go. If a scammer is intelligent, they're not going to leave you a working phone number to call them back, because then they can be traced and figured out where they live. It's just, the calls are irritating. They are incredibly irritating. They are starting to diminish. I noticed that as soon as I stopped answering the phone altogether, unless Amy's number pops up, I will answer the phone, or my mom, or somebody I know. My phone has stopped ringing as much. It's frustrating because most of our scammers, they don't, as Amy also mentioned, they're not telling you you won the lottery or won rubles from India or something crazy and exciting. They are impersonating officials. They will figure out how many grandchildren you have. They'll figure out where the grandchildren go to college. They'll figure out who the chief of police is in that college town, and then they'll impersonate that chief of police and call you upset and crying and saying, you know, this chief of police, I'm calling from Amherst. We have your grandson. He got pulled over last night, and he didn't want us to call his parents. Can you bail him out of jail? And they will give you lots and lots of information that they can find online about us. And it's social engineering. So they give you the information to make you feel comfortable, and then you make the wrong decision. And the grandparent scam is a pretty big scam that goes around every year. It's just important to know to take a step back, take a deep breath, and go, is this really the chief of police in Amherst, Massachusetts? Maybe I should think about this. Call your grandchild. Simply pick up the phone and call your grandchild. You can also call your local police department, the non-emergency number, and ask them to make a call on your behalf. They can call the local police in a different city. One parent, we met a grandmother a while back. She suggested having a code word for your grandchildren, so that if you get that call, you can say, well, if this is Timmy, what's the code word? If it really is their grandchild, you can say, Nana, it's me. The code word is Mickey Mouse. And then you can say, okay, let's figure out the situation. But a scammer isn't going to know that information. And it's just, what's tough is these scammers really want to make you feel pressured, upset, freaked out. They want you to respond and react. They don't want you to think. They just want you to react. Well, we're going to deport you if you don't pay $10,000 in back taxes, and we're going to send the National Guard. We take Visa. And I got that call, and I said, well, I don't make enough money to owe over $20,000 in back taxes, and I can't get deported. I am a U.S. citizen, and I know that the National Guard isn't going to come to get me. But we all get the calls. Silly enough, I did pick up my office phone, and that's what I got one afternoon. But they just want you to react. That's really what it is.
And like Robin mentioned, with this imposter tactic, they can impersonate anyone, any legitimate business, any legitimate agency or organization, the IRS, Medicare, Social Security Administration, which is the newest one. But especially around the time of the holidays, scammers know that we receive calls from legitimate charity organizations. And so what they will do is they will call us and they will impersonate legitimate charity organizations. Or they will call us and they will make up the name of a fake charity. But we know that there are thousands of charities out there that in that first initial call, how are we to know that that particular individual is a real representative from a real charity? And so just like anything else, we need to just hang up, take a step back, assess the situation, and then, move forward. Maybe we receive a call from someone saying that they're from a local charity, and it piques our interest. This is sort of the time of year where we tend to give a little bit more than we may normally give, or do a little bit more, or buy a little bit more than we normally purchase. And so it might pique our interest and get the wheels turning, and it's okay to just take a step back. A lot of the times the scammers get away with what they get away with because they don't think we'll take the time to take a step back and realize that we have even just 15 minutes, let alone we have a few days or 15 days, to decide on if we want to move forward with making a donation somewhere. So be very, very cautious, especially because the caller ID is a tool on our phones that we used to be able to utilize. We used to be able to say, if you don't recognize the number 100%, don't answer it. Now we have to say, even if you do recognize the number 100%, unfortunately we can't take at face value that that number is legitimate or that the number actually lines up with the phone that's actually calling us. It is very, very easy for a fraudster to scramble the number. It's as simple as it sounds. They're just scrambling the number that pops up on our caller ID screen. And they just know that we're more likely to answer the phone the closer the area code gets to us, or the closer the name gets to us. So it might say the local police department, or our bank name, our phone provider name, whatever it might be. If we look down at our caller ID and we see our own phone number, we're highly likely to answer. They know the closer it gets to us, the more likely it is that we'll answer.
I actually put a stop to my own phone number, since I would never be calling my own phone. I just declared that it was an illegal number that it wouldn't answer.
That's a really great idea. That's okay. Because we can go in and block particular phone numbers. So to go in and block your own phone number, that's actually, we haven't heard anybody that has said that they've done
Good
that.
idea, Hank.
Amazing.
Okay.
I got a couple calls on my own phone number,
Yeah.
and I said, well, since I never called
Yeah.
myself,
Right.
you never call yourself.
Right. And you'll know in those moments.
You know.
Well, they had established that particular tactic because, like Robin said earlier, they know that we're curious. And at first, when it was established and they started to make the call where our own number would pop up, they thought that we would look down at our phone and get a little confused. So we look down and say, wait, there must be something wrong with my phone. It says my own number. So out of sheer curiosity, we were answering just to see if it was a mistake, or maybe it was the phone company that was trying to get in touch with us and something was being, a little wonky with the caller ID. And so out of curiosity, we were answering. And like Robin said, that's what they want. They want us to just answer because they know that if we answer, then we're more likely, and then they misrepresent like a real business or organization. We're more likely to stay on the line a little bit longer. The little bit longer that we stay on the line, the more likely it is that we're going to divulge information. But it's really, really important to know that around the time of the holidays, it's going to ramp up in regards to who it is that they're misrepresenting, like charity organizations or FedEx or UPS or something like that. We purchase more around the holidays, which means that we're giving more, which means that we're receiving more often. And so it wouldn't, it was
I can get a better shot.
fairly clever idea.
I'm going to try to get a little better shot.
To pretend to
See if
be
I can do
FedEx
it.
or UPS and say, oh, we have a package for you, what is a delivery, or what time will you be home even, is a question that they may ask. So be very, very aware, but oftentimes they're looking for the credit card information and your bank account information. It's just a matter of how long it takes them to get there.
Now, kind of going back a little bit, would there be any reason for people to get phone calls from the IRS, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, any of those, so you can let the seniors know that if someone from the IRS, can we definitely say the IRS will call you, or Social Security?
So the IRS, before they call, they will send you 2 letters, physical letters through the mail saying, well, you owe money, we're trying to get a hold of you. If you receive 2 physical pieces of mail and you don't respond, then they will call you. But they're not going to call you out of the blue. If you have received nothing in the mail from the IRS, they're not going to call you. If you do get a call from the IRS or any of these organizations, you can call the local phone number in downtown Boston and say, you know, I got this call from the IRS. Are you looking for me? Is there something wrong? The bigger scam that Amy did mention was the Social Security Administration. It is going around like wildfire. Every place that we have spoken to has received 1 or 2 of those calls in the last 3 weeks. I received it. They are impersonating the Social Security Administration, saying that there is fraudulent activity on your account. You need to call us. We can fix the problem with a credit card or with a phone.
We've suspended your social security number.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
So if you are nervous, you can call the local Social Security office in the city and just ask them. But they're not going to randomly call you. They're not going to take a visa over the phone to fix the fraudulent problem. It's tough, and they're not going to do that. They don't have time to do that. They have many more things to do with their day than randomly call consumers. It's tough, and people still believe it, and they still, oh, there's something wrong, you take Visa, no problem, can we fix it over the phone?
Well, I got a call saying this is Social Security, there's been some fraudulent activity. They didn't ask for a Visa or any other card, so, I mean, I kind of thought that was real too. When I went to my Social Security, and one of the people there says that they wouldn't normally just call you.
They're making you feel comfortable by not asking you for your visa
Yeah.
right away. And like Robert was saying, it's the social engineering of it. They're sort of grooming you to make you think. They're taking their time now. They want your information right away,
Yeah.
but they know that if they sound like, it's very like cool, calm, and collected, rather than like throwing the pressure on right away, that eventually you'll be more likely to give it.
So would there be any case that Social Security would really call us, or there always going to be scams? Not about that. but
You're going to get 2 pieces of mail in first before they make a phone
Oh, the
call.
Social Security too, or just?
Oh, Social Security,
That's what
I
they-
honestly don't believe they're going to call me.
And social security is not going to call you,
No.
that's it.
Well, what's really interesting with the Social Security scam in particular is that you said that they called and said that there was fraudulent activity with your account. And the truth is, no one can know, or no one will know, if there's fraudulent activity with your account other than you, because we are the ones that are monitoring our information in regards to like our credit reports. So the Social Security admission would be called eventually if we had fallen victim to identity theft, but we won't know if we've fallen victim to identity theft unless we are running credit reports from each of the 3 major credit bureaus and noticing that someone has gotten a hold of our information. So I find that tactic interesting in regards to the scammers that are misrepresenting Social Security, but not a lot of people know that. If I had received a call from someone saying that they were from the Social Security Administration and they said there's been fraudulent activity, we think your identity might have been stolen,
Yeah.
I would become nervous at least for a moment, right away before I realized, wait a second, is that actually possible that they would be able to determine that? The only way to determine that oftentimes, which is one of the main reasons why it's so important to run our credit reports, our free annual credit reports at least once a year, is that we won't know if someone has a hold of our information until we do that. So that would be a red flag, but for a lot of people, we aren't aware that they wouldn't contact us. Or Medicare. Medicare was the scam, 2 to 3 years ago. It was IRS for a few years, and that still happens. But then they moved on to Medicare, and now they're moving on to Social Security Administration. And it's because those are big agencies. 10 years ago, if I received a call from someone claiming to be from the IRS, I might freak out a little at first. But because it became so widespread and everybody was reporting it and talking about it, the scammers had to move on and they had to choose a different agency. And it just happened to be Medicare, and now it just happens to be Social Security Administration. I'll be curious to see who they choose next.
Are these calls coming in from the U.S. or are they coming in from other countries?
All over the world. They're being patched in through different countries. And so the Federal Communications Program is trying to work with other countries to combat these robocalls. It is challenging, but they are getting patched in, and then they finally get to us. So the more we report those fraudulent numbers, it can probably take you all 5 minutes. The more you report, the better off their program is. but they are coming from all over the world. And what's fun, or I shouldn't say fun, you never hear about it in the news. Unfortunately, it's not really exciting news, like, ooh, they took down 5 more people that are making these calls. But if you follow the FBI on their Twitter accounts, they are taking down these people. They are finding these people nationwide, worldwide, and they are being prosecuted. It's just not fun news, unfortunately. But they do find these people from time to time, and they are prosecuted, which is a good thing. It's just you don't always hear about it, unfortunately.
Well, the numbers can be scrambled and fake numbers
Yes.
so easily that even giving them a whole series of numbers sometimes doesn't help.
It does help.
This is Hank McCall. He's the chair of the Triad Committee.
You know, it's randomly generated by a
Sure.
robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just, it seemed to me that the game is when they tell you to call another number.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's the number that you want to turn in.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
They want all of them,
But
for
they tell them
sure.
all.
Yeah. Well, it's just that the more information they have, the more likely it is that they can do something with it. It's just more pieces to the bigger puzzle, essentially. Did you have a question?
Yeah, if you've frozen your credit companies,
Sure.
you know, all 3 of them, should you randomly check them again? Have them do
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
You
a,
might,
I
it's
mean,
a good thing
technically,
to check.
isn't that supposed to mean that no activity could go through them again?
Yes.
When the Experian had the problem and they notified me that
Oh,
there might have been
Equifax.
activity.
Sorry for the
and I
move.
froze all my 3 accounts.
Good.
And I've never done anything since, it's been like 3
Probably,
years.
you'll probably be fine. I would check anyways, considering everybody has heard of the Equifax data breach.
Yeah.
It was 2017. 50 million people were involved.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I talk about fraud all day long, and my information is now out there. If you haven't checked to see if your information was involved in that data breach, it's a very easy process. You can go to the Federal Trade Commission, ftc.gov/Equifax. They will ask for the last 6 digits of your social security number and your last name. And then within under a minute, they'll tell you if your information is involved in that data breach. They are offering up to 10 years of free credit monitoring for all 3 of the credit bureaus, or $125. If you haven't done it, I highly suggest you do it. If you have children or grandchildren, they should be checked as well. Children are 52 times more likely to have their information stolen and breached. Because the scammer knows that if they get a hold of little Susie's credit and she's age 3, they know that mom and dad probably will never run a credit report. Why would they? She's 3.
Right.
But they have pristine, perfect credit, and that's why a fraudster would want their credit. There was an article a couple of years back by AARP of a daycare center somewhere in the Midwest that had a data breach, and the children, some of the children's information was stolen. And one of the child, when she turned 16, went to get a license, and they ran her social security number, and there were DUIs listed on her social security number in different states. So all of us need to do a credit report. It doesn't take long. It's a very boring read. It'll take you probably 20 minutes. But if you do that, you will see if something looks a little off. Are you deceased? We met a woman recently. One of the credit bureaus had her listed as passed away. Name, address, all of that information that's listed on these reports, you have to make sure that it's correct. If it is correct, freeze your accounts. It's not going to affect any of your current financial accounts that are open, but if you're involved in a data breach, like I was, no one can use your information to open up a new line of credit. So it's just one of those ways to keep you a little bit safer. We all, especially during the holidays when we're all using our credit cards and going shopping, you just never know who's going to pick up your information. It could be a skimming device, it could be a disgruntled employee who has taken a picture of the front and back of your credit card and you didn't realize it happened, and all of a sudden you see all of these odd charges on your Visa bill at the end of the month. Wow, what's this, this, and this? That doesn't make sense. I was never here. I didn't go to Best Buy. I didn't go to Apple. What are all of these things? I'm not saying that they are fraudulent companies that a lot of times if a fraudster gets a hold of information, they'll go for electronics because they can easily sell it on Craigslist and just get rid of it. It's just the more we monitor all of our information, when your statements come in, do a credit check, things like that, you'll see if something looks a little out of the ordinary.
If you do a freeze, one of the things you need are your previous, where did you live free? How far back do you have to go on that?
The last time I did it, they asked me 10 years.
10 years.
But they might change. I mean, they do change up their security questions to make them interesting. I mean, one of the questions I got was who I went to prom with. I just have no idea. It was too long ago. And we asked another security question. Where I was just I was a little thrown by that. I was like, you know what, like my last 10 addresses, it was just odd. So I do just have those addresses for at least 10 years. That's my suggestion. I don't know if they might change it to 5 or 3 years, who knows. But they do ask you a lot of very interesting security questions because they want to make sure that no one's impersonating you. So if I get a hold of your social security number, I'm not a fraudulent person, and I find out lots of information about you, and I want to go do something nefarious with your information. They ask questions that pretty much either you or your spouse would only really know.
It brings up,
So you said with the FTC has the Equifax data breaches. Do they also have other major data breaches that you can search? You know, or just specifically just because
They're
Equifax
dealing
is so big?
specifically with the Equifax data breach. So if you want to do a search on other data breaches, so when a data breach happens and it affects one Massachusetts resident, that company or entity has to report it to my office as well as the Attorney General's office. You can actually go to our website, mass.gov/consumer, and I think it's on this first or second page. If you scroll down, you can go and see what data breaches have been reported daily. We update it pretty much every day. After 5, obviously, when we're not in the offices, we'll put the next data breaches on to the next day, and then you can see them by year. If you really want to look for a specific company, you have to email us for a public records request. It's very simple, and we'll go through the system and find out, oh, you wanted Bank of America, or you wanted JP Morgan, whatever the company is that you think you are looking for, and we can find that information for you.
Robin had mentioned monitoring our accounts, and it is so important that we do it regularly throughout the year, every month, every few days if you do online banking, or every day if you can. And it's so important to remember to be closely monitoring around the holidays, because we ourselves are using our cards more. We're swiping here, purchasing this, buying online. Because of that, the scammers will tend to use the information that they've been able to obtain throughout the year around this time of year, because they know that there's going to be more transactions on our bank statements as they come in, and on our credit card bills as they come in. So we may be less likely to notice if there's something unusual or something fraudulent that we did not, in fact, do. And not only that, but they will be making small charges and purchases here and there. This is true all year round. If someone gets a hold of our information, they're not very likely to try to make a $20,000 transaction. They are likely to make a $2 transaction or a $1 transaction. And this goes back to what Robin started the program with by saying, you know, no one's targeted specifically. We are 1 in a million to these fraudsters, to these scammers, and it's much more lucrative for them to scam 5,000 individuals out of $1 each than one person out of $5,000, because each of those people are less likely to notice a $1 transaction or $2 as opposed to that one person who's probably going to notice that $5,000 transaction or $10,000 or $500, let alone the fact that it probably will not be able to bypass the bank either. Our banks and credit card providers are so closely monitoring our accounts. It's so fantastic that they are so closely monitoring. It's unfortunate as to the reasons why they have to be, but they are. And they'll reach out to us and they'll send us, you know, an email if that's our mode of communication with our bank, or they'll call us, which we again have to be very careful with, because we won't know if it's the real bank actually calling us or emailing us or a fraudster, but they are monitoring us. So be very aware of those smaller transactions, and then contact your bank right away. Contact your credit card provider immediately upon recognizing it. If it turns out to be, in the end, that it really was a purchase that you made or a transaction you made, they would still much rather hear from us. They would much rather have us say, I don't remember what this charge was. It's interesting because we live in an interesting time now, because it used to be that we would look in our wallet, and if we had a card missing, our debit card, our credit card, we would know right away, oh no, I might have lost my card, it might have fallen out of my wallet, someone might have picked it up, they might be using it. But now we can have all of our cards in our possession, our credit cards, our license, our Medicare cards, whatever it might be, we can have everything. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the fraudsters don't have it as well, because there's so much that's done electronically, so much of our information can be taken through online purchases, through being on websites that are not legitimate, or being connected to the internet on an unsecure platform. So we do recommend that most purchases in general, if not all purchases that we make, should be used with a credit card. We recommend utilizing a credit card versus a debit card in any and all transactions, but specifically with online purchases, we really encourage people to utilize a credit card. We know that the debit card is directly connected to our cash. It's connected to our checking account, and that's where our cash is. And a fraudster can wipe out our entire checking account in a very, very, very short amount of time once they get a hold of that debit card information. So we'd much rather, we don't want anyone to be frauded at all, but if you're going to be frauded, we'd much rather be with the credit card than the debit card, because at least you won't be without that money while you were trying to dispute the charges and the claims.
So you can check with Equifax or your bank or you charge card or debit cards to know that kind of thing. How do you know if your identity has been stolen?
That's through the three major credit bureaus.
So what if, is there a chance that your identity could be stolen without having a tax card?
Correct. Absolutely.
How do you check on that?
Through the credit bureaus.
So when you call the 3 credit bureaus, their automated system will go online, you'll see everything that's listed here, last
Okay,
and address.
whoops, fingers in the way.
Any credit cards that are open or closed in your name. So if you're reading through it and you say, wow, I've never had a Discover card. Why is there a Discover card listed on my Experian account? I'm not knocking Discover. I'm just saying as an example. That way you say, whoa, 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 you can dispute that. Go, I don't have a Discover card. I've never had a Discover card. What is this? And get it off of your account. We did meet a woman who, she was going to buy a house for the first time, so she ran her credit, obviously, to see how much she could get a mortgage for. And lo and behold, there was a student loan for a university that she never attended. It's like a $150,000 loan on one of the credit bureaus. Yeah, that's kind of a big mistake. So she had to put off buying a home for a little bit so she could get that cleared up. You don't have to have credit cards to get fraud. Or you just have to have a social security number.
Why do you have to call all three? Aren't they all gonna have the same information?
They don't all have the same information.
Oh, they don't?
No. So that's why you call all 3 and do a credit check. Because if you have a Visa, let's say Chase Visa, it might only be listed on Experian. Or if you've gotten a car loan, I'll use myself as an example. When I took my car loan, went to get a car loan, I asked my bank, which of the credit bureaus are you going to run my credit so I could get the loan? And they said, it's going to be Experian. So I said, fine. I unfroze my Experian account, ran my credit, and then I refroze it. So that's really pretty much only listed that
So
car
it
loan.
wouldn't be on the other two?
I didn't see it on the other 2. So it was only listed on that one. Now, obviously it might be different from other banks might run all 3 for a credit report, but my bank specifically said we're going to go through Experian. I said,
There's a random scam going on now about student loan repayment.
I have heard about that,
And
yes.
I got a call last week, 3 times in succession, from different numbers, about being able to save money and consolidate my student loans. I said, well, I don't have any student loans. I haven't ever had a student loan, so where did you get my telephone click? You know, so it was obviously a scam.
Well, the fact that you keep picking up the phone, they're going to keep calling.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they might call you and tell you need a medical
Yeah.
products or something or other. So you
Well, that's another thing, too,
Yeah.
that special medical product.
yeah, I
Another
get those
scam.
calls.
Well, that's how the fraudsters work too.
Yeah.
They have a list of like 1,000 phone numbers, and on Monday they're going to call everyone on their list and offer them a better interest rate on their credit card. And on Tuesday they're going to call everyone on that list, but they're going to start with the people that answered the day before, and they're going to say, oh, you know, we can repay your student loans for you. And then the next day they're going to call everyone on that list, most likely starting with the phone numbers from the day before that had somebody answer, and then say, oh, we're soliciting for a charity.
But getting 3 phone calls within roughly 5 minutes of each other was kind of unusual.
It
It's
is,
a little weird and unusual,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're excited because you're answering the phone. So
Exactly.
they're gonna just keep calling.
yeah, the
That's
more
the-
we answer, the more likely it will continue. It can't stop unless we stop, essentially.
Okay.
And then there are other
Jennifer
tools that
Lee-Levitz
we can utilize,
at
like
Rose Baker
NoMoRobo.com.
Senior
That's an
Center
option
for
for
Senior
people.
Moments on Cape Ann
On the
Live.
website on the handout,
We're talking
it's
about
spelled
scams
exactly
with
as
the
it
Better
sounds,
Business Bureau and the Massachusetts Department
NoMoRobo.com, NoMoRobo.com.
Consumer
This is a
Affairs.
Visit the website. They do not have a phone number. I like to use it because they don't want to be scammed over the phone. And so what this does essentially is it's free for your landline. You can register your phone number through NoMoRobo.com. The only piece of information they will ask for is your phone number. It says right on the website that they do not sell and distribute the personal information of those people who register through NoMoRobo, which is wonderful. So they're not going to sell your information anywhere else. What happens once you register your phone number is you are essentially generated into their database. Your phone will continue to ring, but if the call coming in is automated, if it's a robocall, your phone will hang up for you after that first ring. And that's only if you're registered with NoMoRobo.com. So do not hesitate to do that. It is a free service. Please.
I have a thing on my home cell, portable phone.
Sure.
And it's got a button on the bottom that says cell block.
Perfect.
And if you press that, it will ring one time, but the call doesn't go through.
That's a great,
Yes,
and that's a
fantastic.
great feature. Every phone provider, we always talk about this, every phone provider is different. And of course a landline is going to be different than a cell phone. And so it's important to just check in with our phone provider and see what it is that they're doing to best protect us. Some phones allow us the opportunity to block just 10 numbers at a time. Some phones allow us the opportunity to block unlimited numbers. So see what your provider is offering and what your particular phone is offering. But blocking the number is great. We recommend block as they come in. That just doesn't mean that the next call that comes in isn't going to be one number off.
I get a lot of calls from the American Red Cross, because I get blood. So a lot of robocalls on that. So if I was on this, would that cancel the American Red Cross as well?
If it's automated.
No,
Oh,
it's not
actually.
charity. It's a charity.
So it goes through.
It'll go through charities and
Political and nonprofit.
and nonprofits. I mean, if you don't want to receive calls from the Red Cross, I'm not knocking the Red Cross, just call them and say, look, I'm going to still keep donating blood, but could you stop calling?
Okay.
You may have to do it a couple different times. It depends on who you talk to, obviously, but they do have the right to keep calling. It's unfortunate, but and usually these charitable organizations, if you call them enough and they don't want they don't want to irritate you because they want you to keep donating blood or money. So they should be on the up and up and respect that.
And it wouldn't be unusual if you have done business or donated to one charity or done business with one particular business and they had you on their Rolodex and they were contacting you because you've already been in communication with them. You've purchased a product from them or you're a client of theirs or something. So that's when we want to call those businesses, like Robin said, directly and say, I would like to continue to do business with you, but I would like you to take me off of your call list. I'll call you when I have a question or I need something.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Other questions that we can answer for you?
Anything we didn't touch upon that you were hoping that we would?
Okay, well, you're dealing mostly with phone calls, but also those internet contacts do the same thing.
So the internet is much more dangerous because they want you to click on something. Text messages, those are ramping up, especially in the holidays. I've received a few text messages saying, this is UPS, we're trying to drop a pop package off, but whoever the sender was didn't pay enough for the postage. We take these over the phone to pay for the rest of the postage. Click here. So, but the thing is, we're kind of curious, it's Christmas time. Who am I getting a gift from? Maybe I should respond. If you get a text message or a voicemail or an email from FedEx or UPS or the Amazon truck, call that entity directly, find the 800 number for their local UPS, and just tell them the situation. They can look up your information immediately. Go, oh, yeah, no, we don't have a package for you. Or yes, we do have a package. We're still trying to get it to you. They didn't pay enough for postage, whatever the situation may be. But the email scams are much more dangerous financially. if you get an email and they say it's your bank, if you hover your mouse over the email address of the sender, the whole email address will pop up. I'll use myself as an example. I am a Bank of America customer, and when they email me, they always say, "Dear Miss Putnam." They specifically say me. When I get the fraudulent ones, sometimes the email address is italicized or not spelled correctly. I've gotten bankoamerica@gmail.uk. Well, I know that they're not going to use Gmail, and they're not located in the United Kingdom. And they say, "Dear loyal customer," and it's misspelled. So the whole thing doesn't make sense. What's interesting is some of the younger generation, the millennials, are clicking. And they'll get a text message that looks like it's from their bank. "Could you click here and update your social security number for us?" And they do. And all of a sudden, they're sitting there going, because they're not paying attention, they're all on their phones. Oh, they want to get everything done quick. Oh, UPS needs my social security number. Okay. Or they need my visa because, there's a package coming. So they click on things. If you don't recognize the email, if it sounds fishy, even if it is your bank or your credit card company, pull out your ATM card, pull out your credit card, and call the 800 number directly. That way you can feel comfortable that you know you're reaching out to Visa, your bank, whomever. And you can say, I got this funny email. Are you trying to get a hold of me? Is there something wrong with my account? And they'll say one of two things. Yes, it was us. There are some discrepancies in your account. We are trying to get a hold of you. Let's go through your last 15 transactions. And you can feel comfortable going through that because you know you reached out to your bank or Visa or whoever. Or they'll say, no, it wasn't us. Did you give any personal information away? Amy and I always say, if you get a phone call or an email and you have not reached out to that entity, do not give any kind of personal information away. None of it. My Chase Visa calls me from time to time when they see if something's a little wacky. I never pick up the phone. I'll listen to the voicemail, but I will then pull out my credit card and call them directly. They'll say, "Oh, well, thanks for hanging up or not taking the call." But yes, that was us calling. There are some discrepancies that we need to go through. Perfectly fine. Now I know I reached out specifically because, as Amy mentioned, there are apps that you can download and put on your phone to scramble phone numbers. So I can scramble my number and it might look like Visa, Social Security, the fire department, the police department, and you get curious. Well, maybe I should pick up the phone.
I heard about those apps and I checked into a bunch of them. There's about 3 different organizations that actually do that, to scramble your own phone number when you're calling somebody.
That's how easy it is.
Yeah.
We can all do it.
Sure,
Not that I want to
anybody
encourage
can
it,
do it.
Well, yeah, that's how easy it is. And that's why, I never give personal information. I just don't, even if it really is my credit card.
I never give donations to any
Sorry.
charity that calls me every dollar.
Okay.
Bank.
Jennifer Lee-Levitz here at the Rose Baker Senior Center. We're in the Triad meeting, and we're having a conversation about scams, holiday scams, all the time scams.
It's a legitimate charity, obviously. There are entities who will hire.
The lady speaking now is from the State Office of Consumer Affairs. That's Robin.
The firemen, the policemen, the Red Cross, you name it. They are legitimate. But what you have to ask, and you should ask, is if I donate through you for the entity, how much of my $100 check is going to you, and how much is going to them?
That's a good
and
one.
They have to tell you, 80% is going to us. So
Yep.
if you want to make a donation to your local police department, just call the non-emergency number and ask them, I want to send you guys a check, where can I send it so you get all of the donation? They would much rather receive a phone call saying, oh, fantastic, send us a check here. But I think that also goes, if there's a down hero, someone dies, line of action, something like that, there will be charities, fake charities that will pop up, and they'll make phone calls, they'll put emails out, and they'll say, we're raising money for the wife and children, just send us a check for officer so-and-so. And it is horrible. It happens all the time. If there is a fallen hero, call the local entity, not the emergency number. Just say, look, I want to make a donation to the wife and kids, or whatever they're doing, because they do pop up and it's obnoxious. If you want to make a donation to that fallen firefighter, do so. Do absolutely, but just make sure you know it's actually going to the fire department, because the fraudsters pop up so much, especially if we have fires, tornadoes, hurricanes. We're raising money for one small little village in somewhere in Arkansas because they had a tornado. Make sure you really that money. Make sure you really do a little bit of research to make sure it's going to that small town in whatever city, because the fraudsters know that we have heart and we want to make a donation. And they'll say, oh, you can just send it to us. And then you realize it's not going to Arkansas, the check is going to Florida. Well, what? We kind of laugh at it, but it happens. Because they prey on us. They know that we want to make a donation. So make sure, go to Charity Navigator, go to give.org, go to the Attorney General's office, do your research to make sure it really is a charitable organization that makes sense and is legitimate.
Well, I think it's so just important to reiterate, as we're nearing the end of this, that there are resources available. I think for
This lady is from the Better Business Bureau.
The Office of Consumer Affairs was a resource where you could contact them and ask them a question. The Better Business Bureau, contact us in advance of making donations, in advance of choosing a business to work with. Or, if you've received a scam call or an email and you just want to double check and see if we've heard anything about it as well. The Attorney General's office, there are resources available. You should never have to pay to find out very basic, simple information, like if a charity is legitimate or if a business is in good standing within the business to consumer community. There are resources available to you. And if you contact one of our offices and it doesn't happen to be something that we cover or something that we're confident in responding to, we will always point you in the appropriate direction of who else may have that information. So do not hesitate to reach out at all.
Absolutely, yes.
Is there a scam going on right now through Amazon with people getting parcels that they didn't order?
I have heard that, yes. I'm not saying it's specifically Amazon, but there have been times, the holidays bring out all the scammers. People will get packages and they didn't order them, and then they get a phone call or an email or a text message or something from whoever the sender, the fraudulent sender is. They say, well, we sent you the package, you didn't pay for it. It does happen. I know that our office received a few of those calls last holiday season. We haven't heard them yet. I'm sure that there will be. So I think if you get a package that doesn't make sense, I would say just bring it to the post office and they can deal with it.
Well, my son got a package.
Oh, okay.
And he called Amazon and said, I didn't order this, I want to return it. And they said, oh, don't bother, just keep it.
Oh yeah, that's not that unusual. I mean, I've had
And
it
he said,
happen.
but,
It probably costs them to return it,
Yeah.
they don't care. Yeah, there are fraudulent third parties out there. So when you're going to be doing some holiday shopping, I'm not knocking Amazon whatsoever, but there are third parties that sell through Amazon. Make sure you look at what their reviews are. I didn't do that, and I bought a dress, and it came, and it was for a 4-year-old. I'm like, well, it's obviously not going to fit me. So I emailed the company through Amazon, and I said, look, I just want to make a return. I can go to Dedham and drop it off at Lakes Place, and away we'll go. And I got a very odd response. First of all, English was not their first language. So the whole email was all wacky. It just didn't make sense verbally. I'm like, this is weird. But then they said, oh, well, to return it, you need to cut the dress in pieces, take a picture of it, and email it to our fraud department. I'm like, what? That does not make any sense at all. So I emailed I was online to the Amazon customer service, their pop-up, and I said, look, I got this package and I need to return it, and this is what the response I got. And so the Amazon representative, which was awesome, they immediately looked through the email because they have the capability with the third party. And within 5 minutes, she came right back. She's like, obviously it's a fraudulent company. We don't really know where they're located, somewhere overseas. You can donate the dress. We've put the money back onto your Visa. I said, okay, that's fine. But if you're going to make purchases over the phone or online during the holidays, make sure to verify who those companies are. If you have not heard about them before, if you look at them on the Better Business Bureau, there's no information about them. Be very, very wary of who you're using. Pull up a search engine, whether it's Google or Amazon, and type in the company name, and then also type in reviews and hit go, you will see hundreds of reviews. Are fraudulent, you can't return the product, all kinds of things will pop up, either good, bad, or indifferent. I didn't do that when didn't think about it to do it with this $30 dress, but luckily I went through a reputable company, Amazon, and they immediately dealt with the situation. But there are companies, there are fraudsters out there who will purchase a website that is slightly misspelled of a major corporation. So let's just say, for example, LL Bean. What if you're tired, or I, like me, didn't have my glasses on, and I type in, I misspell LL Bean. Someone else has purchased that LL Bean incorrectly, so that I go onto it, not thinking, oh, look at that, I want to order this, and this. It looks perfectly like their website. So you want to make sure when you're typing in these company names, it sounds ridiculous, but if you're tired and don't have your glasses, you might misspell that company name. And I'm not knocking LL Beans, it's just an example. You just need to make sure that you are going to the site that it is and to spell it correctly, because the fraudsters will buy that website for top dollar, slightly misspelled, because they know someday somebody will do it incorrectly.
And report everything.
Yes.
You just answered the question for me, because I just had a big problem with LL Bean, and I was on the internet.
Sure.
And they kept saying that I didn't have a customer credit number. I had an LL Bean card, I had it for years. So I was trying to find out how to redeem the money that they had earned, LL Bean dollars.
Sure.
And they would, I couldn't get the question answered. So finally, they said, like, you have to make out a new customer, whatever they wanted to fill in, like you've never used it before. So I filled in all the information, foolishly did the security thing and everything. And after I pushed it, I thought, I should never have done that. I normally wouldn't.
Sure.
But because it was LL Bean, I thought everything was fine. So I called up LL Bean on my credit card, and they checked already. Somebody had charged something for $24 and some change, like they were testing. So we canceled the card. But is that, and they sent me a new card. But is that enough? Now somebody has all that information.
Did you give your social security number away?
Not my social, but I gave, what's like security question they ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that one.
I would run a security check. I would call all three of the credit bureaus immediately and talk to their fraud departments. You can email them and tell them what's going on, and they can put a high security alert on all three of the credit bureaus. If you haven't already, I would freeze all three of your accounts with all three of the credit bureaus. That way, even if someone gets a hold of your social security number in a couple of weeks, if it's involved in another data breach, they can't do anything with it.
This should be winding up soon.
They have of you, and they'll keep it on file.
Okay,
And they'll say, well, let's see if we can
this
find
is
out maybe her
Jennifer
on
Lee-Levitz
the dark web.
for Cape-Ann Live Senior Moments.
That have access to the dark
We
web.
are at the Rose Baker Senior Center.
And they are scanning
This is a meeting of the Triad Committee. And these are two speakers about holiday fraud. We're going to close off in just a moment.
You can scan and file with your customers. All of their information is on the dark web, and we need to change the credit card information. I've seen that come in, so
I was a little surprised they didn't give more
Hoping to-
information other than just, we'll send you a new card. Because Chase
Okay.
wouldn't have done that. They,
sure, every credit card company is a little different. Yeah.
And it's important to know that even if somebody gets a hold of your information today, they may not use that information for 6 months to a year. They are
Sorry
going
for
to
the
wait
wiggle.
until our guard goes down. So when something major happens, we tend to become incredibly vigilant in that one moment and diligent and taking proper precautions. And then it sort of falls by the wayside a few months from now. We sort of go back to our usual way of doing things. And that's when they're going to strike. That's when they're going to start making those charges and opening up those accounts. When we take the freezes down, when we stop monitoring.
But did you answer the question, or it looks like you have?
We can also talk to you after and answer more specifically.
You just call them and they'll freeze it for.
You want to contact each of the 3 major credit bureaus, but I would run a credit report and then I would freeze them.
Yes.
That's what I would do.
How often can you call those 3 companies, and is it free each time, or?
Free. Each of them will offer you a free credit report once a year,
Okay.
but you also don't really want to run your credit more than that. So they might charge for a second one. I don't know, I can't speak to that, but you probably don't want to run the second one.
The more you run your credits, it's going to be a ding on your credit report.
Right.
Although if you're looking to get a mortgage, yes, it's okay to run it once or twice, but I wouldn't run it 9 times. It's not the greatest thing for your credit.
But as you said, they might use it today or 5 years down the road, but if I call today and check all these, the 3 times, it's once a year, what if they start using it tomorrow?
That's why we encourage you to freeze your
Yes,
credit.
that's why we,
To be preventative, yeah, to freeze. The best thing to do is to freeze it when you know that nothing has happened so far, when you feel like something has happened. When you feel like something has not happened, right? Yeah, because then they wouldn't be able to open
But
it.
if it's not your credit, like you were saying, that the student loan, let's say, all of a sudden she has $150,000 on her student loan or something. If it's not the credit cards, if it's your social security, if it's your identity, if it's something else, how that could change from day to day, right?
no.
Does that make sense?
So what we're saying is, check all 3 of the credit bureaus.
Right.
Run a check, print it out, look through it. If you see a $150,000 student loan, that's when you contact Experian and go, whoa, I didn't go to this university, and
Right.
get that, dispute that.
Yeah.
But if you run it today and it's perfect, all the things that are listed make sense, yes, I have a Discover and a Visa and an LOB card, and yes, they're listed there, and everything is fine, that's when you freeze it. That way, if your information is involved in a data breach, like the Equifax data breach, no one can open up a new line of credit in your name. They can try, but they won't be able
Can
to.
they steal other information except credit card information? Can they steal your social security information?
They could potentially get a hold of your social security information in a multitude of ways, but what they can't do is open up a mortgage, open up a line of credit, take out a big loan. So they might be able to access that information while your credit is frozen, but they can't do much with it because your credit is
So I think
frozen.
I keep going back to the identity theft kind of thing, not the money, the financial piece of it, but just the identity.
They can't do anything. They can't do anything with that information if you've frozen it.
If it's frozen. If it's not frozen, they can. But that doesn't, again, it doesn't mean that your information isn't still out there. It's just that they wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Right, exactly. That's why freezing is a good preventative method.
I mean, so then what happens when you want to then access your credit again, like a mortgage or a loan or, whatever it is? What does that mean, freezing, and how long does it stay in place? Like, what does that mean?
Freezing stays in place indefinitely. And if, let's just say you want to open up a mortgage tomorrow, you simply call your provider, let's say Bank of America, and you say, all of my information is frozen, I want you to run my credit so I can get a mortgage. Which of the credit bureaus are you going to run my credit check through? You can take, and then you can, whatever they say, let's say Experian, it takes up to 24 hours to unfreeze or thaw. Mine, when I did it, it took 2 hours. So they ran my credit. I got my car loan, and then I refroze it. Honestly, it doesn't take very long.
Okay.
If you are going to freeze it, they are going to give you PIN numbers to get into your accounts. Write those down, put them somewhere. They can help you. If you lose your PIN, obviously it's going to be problematic, but it really honestly doesn't take very much time.
So you log back in, you unfreeze it or thaw it,
Yes.
as you said,
Yeah.
and then you let it ride for like 24 hours, and
Yes.
then you, after
My
that.
bank called me an hour later. We run your credit, we're all set.
And then
I'm like,
you
fine,
refreeze.
I just refroze it.
Okay.
It doesn't take long.
All right. I have to run my sons, because that was a good heads
Yeah.
up that we
Yeah.
should look at our children.
Yeah, a lot of
Sure.
people don't realize.
Yeah.
Smart.
Are there any final questions?
Well, thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you.
I think that it would be very helpful to have a program more open at a time that doesn't conflict with each other.
Okay, we are going to, this is Jennifer Lee-Levitz. I am going
When
to
did we put this out?
end this recording
When did we run into the conflict?
here from the Rose Baker Senior Center, Cape Ann Live, Senior Moments, Holiday Scams. Signing off.
Not sure exactly what happened, but then
Bye.
yesterday,